AI is completely changing how people discover brands and content online, and Ahrefs has built a full-blown SaaS marketing platform to help you stay ahead. With over 15 years of real-world web data and AI that actually understands marketing, Ahrefs helps you measure your brand presence, build authority, and monitor reputation across search, social, and AI platforms like ChatGPT, Google AI Overviews, Perplexity, and more. You can also dig into what's driving your competitors' visibility and spot market gaps before they do, helping you create content that ranks and drive new traffic to your business. There's no need to juggle a bunch of disconnected tools. Get Ahrefs all in one platform to make your brand unmissable in a fast-moving world. Try it free at ahrefs.com/AWT. That's the letter A, HREFS.com/AWT. This is Startups for the Rest of Us. I'm your host, Rob Walling. In this episode, I sit down with Craig Hewitt, the founder of Castos, many-time guest on this podcast, and we dig in to his 100 Days of AI series that he did on YouTube. So we talk through the things he learned from that series as he dove into all the tools that you hear people talking about. And frankly, I wanted to find out from him which tools I should consider using. And by the time we get halfway through the episode, he kind of blew my mind and basically says, yeah, no one in our space should really be using ChatGPT. There is a much better tool that can do all that and more. And I'm going to make you listen to the episode to find out which tool he recommends. Before we dive into the episode, MicroConf US, our next flagship event, is April 12th through the 14th, 2026. It's in Portland, Oregon. We're putting together an amazing speaker lineup. This event will sell out. We've sold out our last 4 or 5 events for the last few years, and this one especially, given the reach and the depth of our audience in the Portland and surrounding area, we will definitely sell this event out. So if you want to attend, don't make the mistake of missing out on your ticket. microconf.com/US. And with that, let's dive into my conversation with Craig. Craig Hewitt, welcome back to the show.
Rob, how's it going?
So good, man. And you are bumping, you're increasing by 1 your number of appearances on this podcast. You're catching up to Derek Reimer, who is the current leader. I think he has 21 appearances. And I tweeted out a while back about the number of appearances. You were in that list. Do you remember? You remember your number?
I don't remember my number, but I think it's a little bit of a cheat. Like if you put the tiny seed tails on there, I think I ran the table for a while. So that's that's a little cheating. But honestly, like if I wanted to talk to somebody super interesting, Derek would be like way up there. You know, I don't know if you've had Jesse Hanley on the podcast.
I heard you interview him on your show, though.
Super interesting dude. He's in Japan, so time zone would be tough. And then like Jordan's been on a lot, and Ruben. You have the people on who I would want to talk to, which is why I think everybody listens. So hopefully I can fill the bit or whatever today. Yeah.
Indeed. And for folks who aren't familiar with you, you are the founder of Castos. Your H1 is from audience to income. Castos makes it possible. Transform your podcast from a hobby into an income earning machine. Your podcast hosting plus production. You have a productized service under that. And you were season 1 of Tiny Seed Tales, and you're now doing low 7 figures of ARR. You've been on the show many times. And I was going to bring you in today, honestly, to do listener questions. But then I realized it would be such a wasted opportunity to not talk about AI. And I think there's a certain group of folks out there who really want to hear more about it and have it kind of broken down a little bit more and hear thoughts. And there's a certain group who's going to delete this episode the moment they see AI in the title. But for them, it's just fine. You have recorded 100 YouTube videos. You did 100 days of AI on your YouTube channel, which is a staggering accomplishment. And I think I do want to talk to you a little bit later on in the show about how you possibly got 100 YouTube videos done in that amount of time. But realistically, high level, you start this 100 days of AI. What did you learn that you were super surprised that you learned in that 100 days? Any high level stuff?
Yeah. I guess just for kind of context, on my podcast, which has been on break, I think fairly so because I've been publishing YouTube videos for 3 months straight. I had Brendan Hufford on. You probably know Brendan. He does growth sprints. Super interesting guy. He was telling me on our podcast interview, he kind of came on the scene, as he said, because he did 100 days of SEO. And this is about 120 days ago. I was like, that is a freaking great idea. I was going to do sales at first. I was like, I'm going to do 100 days of sales because I have a sales background. And I was like, you know what? AI is the, topic du jour. I should do this. And so I did. And it was super freaking hard. We can talk about like the production and the process and all that kind of stuff. But what I learned at a high level is it's incredible and not there all at the same time. And what I mean by that is it's all the stuff you see on Twitter, right? It's the I automated my entire life with AI and this N8N workflow with like 87 nodes and all this kind of stuff. Yep, like that 100% exists and I've built that and it works about 80% of the time. And so it's that 20% that is still, the human in the loop or the human augmented or amplified experience with AI. That's where we are today. And that applies to everything. That applies to voice and video and code and marketing and sales and data. Like in my experience, like it's not taking any of our jobs entirely today. I think at a macro level, what's happening is exactly what we see. Like Amazon this week, 14,000 people they're laying off because you just don't need that many people to do the same amount of work.
And as founders, that's a benefit to us because that's always, all right, our time is always the most restrictive thing versus at a large, or if you're an employee of a large company, that's not a good thing because you're going to lose your job, right? So that is the dichotomy of this. In the 100 Days of AI, and I heard you talking about this on Jordan Gall's Offsite podcast, you talked about a few categories of tools and like what you consider the best in class for each. And, there's like coding, and there was, I think, just a general purpose kind of chat interface. And I especially want to stop and talk about you have some very opinionated thoughts about ChatGPT, which I think are great. Yeah. and then maybe some other, I don't know what all the categories are, if there's 3 or 4 of them, but you want to talk us through that. And here, what I want to give people an idea is this podcast, the single topic that it focuses on is how to start and grow an incredible company that changes your life, right? And if you want to go raise funding, you do that and still listen to this podcast because everything I say will apply. If you want to use AI or not, everyone is eventually going to have to use AI, right, as founders. But it's not that this podcast is going to start focusing on that. It's that I want to educate you as a founder or someone who's maybe on a founding team, the topics that are super relevant today, and that there are no books on this stuff yet because it's changing too fast. There are some YouTube channels that are talking about it, like yours, but even those, they're out of date within a few months. I'm not saying 100 days will be, but a lot of stuff that I go to seek out, education I seek out about AI is out of date because stuff's changing so fast. So that's what I want to call out is like, we're here to help founders hopefully have some stuff that they can hang on to and kind of frame their thinking around how can I use AI and if I just want it handed to me, the information, that's what I'm looking for. So let's go through those categories.
Yeah, so I think probably the easiest one is like for code, Claude Code is the answer. Claude Code is a bit of a misnomer because you can use it for everything. I built a really powerful SEO and content writing tool with Claude Code. And if you look at Lenny's newsletter, he has some really cool examples of this, which is kind of where I got some of the inspiration for that. But imagine Claude Code as like the best analogy I heard is like, imagine just like taking the rails off of AI and kind of going bare metal with it. Like it's in the terminal, you add files and context and all this. So it's like if you take the chat interface away from something like ChatGPT and get to do stuff and plug things into it. That's what Claude Code. So Claude Code is an agent. It has access to tools and memory, and you can expand it and plug things into it like MCP, but it's an incredible coding tool. So Claude Code, you might say, Craig, that's dumb. It's Codex or Cursor's new composer model, whatever. Like some kind of agentic coding tool, Claude Code is it for me. I don't care for ChatGPT for almost everything because it's a consumer product. It's the thing, my wife uses to talk about like the stuff she's interested in. It's the thing my kids like cheat on their homework with. It's like all this stuff, right? But the only place I see use in ChatGPT is in the GPTs. So like we've created like some GPTs for our teams and use with customers. Like, that's really cool. So GPTs are kind of reusable bits where you do a very specific thing and you can share those, and the shareability of them.
And you train them, right? You kind of train it and you say, here's my book, or here's a bunch of docs, here's our whole knowledge base. And now you know that. That's how you describe it?
Yeah. Yep. Or like, I want to write this very specific type of marketing email for product announcements. And you just plug in, here's the page, go write the email. That would be like good use for a GPT. There's a bunch of other ways you can do it, like a Claude project can do the same thing. Probably the tool, if I just had like, Craig, you get to use one tool, it would be Manus. And producer Ron messaged me last night. He's like, holy I just used Manus for the first time, and it's incredible. It's incredible. So Manus is basically Claude Code with a web interface. It's an agentic AI tool. It uses Claude under the hood, and it's incredible. It has like a browser, so it's agentic. Like if you use ChatGPT's agent model, like, hey, go to booking.com and book me a hotel in Rio for 2 nights, it would do terrible, right? But Manus would probably nail it. It can write code, it can create reports, it can do all this kind of stuff. And so specifically, like I've been in kind of product creation mode, how I use Manus is like, hey, I'm thinking about this thing, help me think through this and help me like go do market research, put together a brief for me, help me kind of refine my thinking here. And it's not just like the dumb, back and forth with like ChatGPT, like it goes and gets data and provides briefs to you and documents and scripts and all this kind of stuff.
What LLM is it using?
Claude.
Is it using Claude?
Yeah.
Okay, so it is Claude underneath.
Yeah.
So the only AI tool that I use personally, like our team uses a bunch of stuff, right? Podscan and Podsqueeze and, things to like prep show notes. And of course, everybody's using, I think a lot of them are using Claude because it's a better writer is what I keep, everyone who uses it says it's a better writer than ChatGPT. But I really only use ChatGPT and I use it a lot. I'm in it multiple times a day and I'm in it. Would Manus be superior for just chat interface stuff?
Yeah.
It is.
So it has either agent mode, adaptive mode, which lets it choose, or just chat mode. And so you can use it however you want.
Fascinating. Okay.
Yeah.
ChatGPT. Oh no, I already feel outdated. I remember when I was using ChatGPT and I started paying for it the first time you could pay for it. And I'm like, look how ahead of the, because I'm not an early adopter. In fact, I hate being an early adopter because I don't like when changes and I don't like when it messes up my workflow. I was one of the first, back in the day, let's say 20, 25 years ago as a developer, we all built our own machines, right? You got all the components, you did it. I was one of the first guys to be like, I'm just buying a Dell now. And people were like, whoa, no, the dark side, like you're no longer technical. And it's like, I'm tired of messing around with the printer card that doesn't work. I don't have time for that anymore. I'm billing $100 an hour writing code. I don't want to with this, So I tend to want stuff that is pretty streamlined and just works, right? So and new stuff often is a little janky. So anyways, I feel like I was ran early on ChatGPT, and now I'm like already falling behind. Man, this stuff changes so quickly.
Yeah. So I'll give you an example of something I did yesterday for one of our clients at Castos Productions. So we have a client that's kind of revamping their podcast, and they're having a hard time nailing the intro section, which is, like especially on YouTube, is so important. Is you got to nail that first 30 seconds to keep people so that YouTube keeps promoting your stuff. I said to Manus, so by the way, my third one, I guess, would be Super Whisper or Whisper Flow, someone kind of like voice to text amazing, or you just talk into your microphone and it types for you. So I said to Manus, go and get the latest 20 videos from Jay Klaus' YouTube channel. Jay is a big kind of creator economy guy because he does really good podcast on YouTube, which, as you know, is hard. Get the latest 20 episodes, download the transcript, and then analyze the transcript and create like a rubric or a framework for how we can input like a topic into that. And you give me 3 different intro options. And it did it. It took about 20 minutes, but it did it. And like you just can't imagine ChatGPT doing that.
No.
You see it, it's writing code, it's launching 20 different browsers, it's downloading this stuff, it's aggregating it, it's doing all this Python stuff. Like that's the kind of stuff Manus does.
I have run into limitations of ChatGPT where I'm asking it to do just a little too much. And I can tell it just tries and it can't. Oftentimes for me, it's like I have this MP3 of something. I don't have a transcript for it. You're screwed. You just got to go get that transcribed somewhere else, go to Rev and then bring it over. And I'm like, come on, ChatGPT, you should be able to do this. This is not that hard. Like I'll pay extra, but like you should be able to do this. And it can't. And I'm guessing if Manus can do that, it would completely change my workflow. All right. Well, guess I got to change that shortcut. Just remove a ChatGPT. I have so many GPTs already trained. This is going to be the hard thing is there is actually a switching cost for me at a certain point,
Yeah. Yeah. I probably can't leave ChatGPT, but I just don't use it. I mean, it's $20, so it's not going to kill me, but yeah. The one other I would really consider folks to look into is like talking about agents or automations is like some kind of automation or agent builder. There's a bunch. There's like N8N, which you talked about. There's Lindy, there's Relevance, there's Google Opal. I saw Google came out with another thing today. I think however you slice it, whichever tool you use, you probably should be trying to find ways in your business to like automate this stuff with either just like make.com style automations or like, these kind of more AI forward agentic automation platforms. And it, like, if you imagine, like if you just did one of these a month, like where would you be next year?
Yeah. Tell me, you've used this term agentic a lot on the show already, right? And I have a mental model of what that means. I'm not sure how accurate my mental model actually is. So just in case folks are listening, maybe they've never heard that term before, or maybe they've heard it as much as I have, and they're kind of like, I've never built an agent. I get the idea that it's a GPT that can then go do some stuff and is monitoring things. And so it's more like, I think of it as more like a make automation and, a Zapier type automation that has AI built into it. But I think that's actually a limiting description. Based on what you want to talk us through just what agents are and how different they are than just, a chat interface type thing.
Yeah. So I guess we're talking about three separate things. One I would just call like a chat bot, right? So ChatGPT or Claude.ai, like you go, you log, you talk to an LLM. That's cool. Like that's really useful. I do it a lot. I think everybody does that. An AI automation would be kind of stringing together a bunch of kind of if this, then that's, or loops or whatever with calls to an LLM by itself or an agent. And so that, like I'd call that an automation. And so that's make.com, N8N, Lindy, all these kind of things. An AI agent has three components. To me, it has three components. It has an LLM, so it's going to call Claude, or it's going to call ChatGPT, or it's going to call Grok. It has memory. So you think about like a chatbot, like, have I been asked this thing before? Yeah, okay, I probably don't need to like go call ChatGPT to find the answer. I can just serve the answer up. And it has access to one or multiple tools. So like email or calendar or your knowledge bases in a vector store like a Pinecone or RAG thing or the web or whatever. So those are the three elements of an agent. And an agent can be part of an automation. And in the case of Manus, like the chat interface is an agent because it has access to tools and has memory.
Yeah. As you said, to all that stuff. Yeah. Here's the thing. I think it was Andrew Wilkinson on My First Million like 3-4 months ago. And he was talking about agents, and they're like, he's talking about agents. I'm like, great. And he has all these agents that he's built. And I listened to it, and I was like, none of these do much. Like, these are toys. And I'm not going to go through the time to build them because they don't win me anything. It was like, before I get on a call, my agent looks at who's going to be on that Zoom call, and it goes and researches them online and then gives me a bulleted list of kind of a bio and a this and that. And it's like, okay, that's fine, but I don't need that, And if I did, I guess it'd be interesting that it would save a little bit of time. But, it's like, and there were like 3 or 4 examples like that. And I'm like, I'm not sold on this idea, like that it's going to be worth the building and the maintaining of these things. But I will be sold eventually. I know I will. But I'm just waiting for that. There are a killer example or two of an agent that someone's using that I'm like, oh, I have to have that. Do you have any examples like that you're using or that you know of?
So I think a good example of an agent is like a customer support agent. And so we absolutely do. We implemented it 6 months ago. It's called DocSpot. And it's kind of from like an indie hacker guy. It's amazing. It's cut our customer support burden in half at Castos. And we have 4,000 customers. So it's like a lot of customers. Every day, it diverts handfuls of conversations from our support team. All it is it takes our entire knowledge base and most of our website and puts it into vector stores. Vector stores like easy way for AI to kind of look up the right things. And then people ask it questions and it gives them answers. That's super valuable. And we pay $80 a month, I think, for it. And I would pay $80 all day to have 2 salaries, essentially, and let them go do more interesting things.
Yeah, that's a big deal. And of course, the first question any founder thinks is, but Is it pissing your customers off? Is it doing the endless, when I'm on the freaking Verizon wireless chat thing and I'm like, angry right now,
You such and such.
Yeah, you such and such so-and-so. How have you, I'm totally, when John Connor, I'm going to be dead way before John Connor leads the uprising because of how annoyed I am at chatbots. But how do you keep it from doing that? Like, how have you kept it from being annoying?
Yeah. So, I mean, I guess, like, first of all, Laura Roeder suggested this tool to me. So Laura, I've been on the show a few times. Like, she was the one that turned me onto it. It has an escape hatch. So in every response, it's like, I want to talk to a human. There's a button at the bottom. And if you do that, it just, for us, it like dismisses that and then pulls up the Help Scout contact page where you can send a ticket into the team. So we let people, get out of the chatbot mode really quickly. And then our team monitors all the logs and all the conversations from the chatbot every week, basically. And the cool thing is it's made our documentation better because the chatbot only references the docs. And so they're kind of able to see, it answered this question wrong because the docs are actually kind of vague here or misleading. So it's getting better all the time, not because the bot is better, but because our documentation's better. But to answer your question more kind of holistically, I went through a bit of a identity crisis about 70 episodes, I'll call them episodes, into the 100 Days of AI, because I realized I've built all this shit that is totally worthless. I built some really cool stuff. I created a AI avatar of myself and I cloned my voice and I did all this stuff like nano banana image generation. It's like, what the hell? What are we doing all this stuff for? And I pivoted to being I'm just going to build products because I find it really interesting. Because exactly your point is a lot of these AI automations and agents just aren't helpful right now.
Speaking of 70 days in and having a realization, as someone who for a couple years, I forget how long we did it, 2.5 years maybe, I did 52 YouTube videos a year, and it was brutal. There was so much time and work, and the team, it wasn't just me, it was many people working on it. And I almost tapped out at a certain point and just said, I'm done with YouTube. But we went to every other week. It's been much simpler since then. How did you, I want to talk just a little inside baseball on this, on YouTube. And then I want to move to your, you have a big reveal, an announcement per se that we're going to get to right at the end and then cliffhang this. But how did you possibly crank out 100 videos in 100 days?
It was a lot of work, I think, is the easy answer. There's no magic AI, blah, blah, blah to it, really. There was almost no AI at all to the whole production process. I had a Notion board where I just kept ideas. I borrowed, and I think this is good baseball. I borrowed a lot of ideas off of other channels in my space. So there's, talk about AI automations. The first couple of videos are about AI automation. And I kind of borrowed ideas that other people had built, and I built my own. There are a couple of what I would call AI thought leader and news channels. And I would kind of follow what they do and make similar videos and everybody in YouTube does this, right? Later, I started trying to do a bit of newsjacking, which is Google Nano Banana. This is, my first kind of big hit was I dropped a video on 12 Google AI products you need to know. I dropped it the day that Google's big image generator dropped, just by chance. And then later, I started trying to really do last second, videos on to do a video on the day something was released. And then later, most of it was around building product with Claude Code. So I think I mentioned all that because ideation's the hardest part, right? How do you come up with 100 ideas? The execution of it's not that hard. It's just God, what do I want to talk about today that I haven't already talked about that's interesting and that I could actually have people watch? It's a little bit of everything, a little bit of inspiration from the space, a little bit of kind of just what I want to do, a little bit of this probably would work, this a listicle or a best X or whatever. I had 2 times when I wasn't sure if I would get a video out. The worst was I had done a video that day and the recording didn't take for some reason. The wrong camera was selected or something. And I went to export it at 9:45 at night and it was wrong. And I was I was sick and I was I just don't want to do this. And so I got something out for the next day. I have an editor who's part of our team at Castos Productions. He did 85 of the videos probably. And he was incredible. He worked on the weekends. I was never more than a couple of days ahead. And so he would work on the weekends and stuff. And That was huge. I used a tool called Creator Hooks, so creatorhooks.com. It's an AI tool where you put in kind of like what's the video about, and it'll give you title and thumbnail suggestions. So I had Jake Thomas on my podcast a couple of times, and he's the guy behind Creator Hooks. That was cool, so I didn't have to come up with title and thumbnail every time. And so it'd give you a bunch of different title suggestions, and then just like the text overlay for the image. And then just I made the image in Canva. But that was kind of the workflow.
Yeah, that's impressive, man. I can't imagine trying to do that. But you grew your subscriber base up to, 11,000 subscribers?
Yeah, 11,000. Yeah, we hit 10,000 last weekend, which was incredible. You probably can relate. Like we had 2 videos, I think over 50,000. And neither of them are like the video that I want to be known for.
Yep. Totally been there.
They're like just 2 different listicle videos, really. And I think you get like a bunch of TAM, I guess,
Yeah.
a bunch of reach on those kind of videos. But the ones I want are like the video I did about like making the Claude Code project for content marketing. Like that's me. That's super interesting. That's really super aligned with this kind of like microconf founder person. But just the reach of those is not there, and the mass appeal.
Yeah, no, we feel the same way. It's always the push and pull of bigger the audience, but it isn't, actually within kind of, it's not even ICP, but it's within kind of the person that I want listening. It's not the audience that I'm seeking.
Yeah.
So as we move on to our final topic, I get the feeling, am I guessing right, that you got into Claude Code and the last 30 videos you started building something, and then at a certain point did you think, I might want to build this for real? Is that what happened, where you're like, because something you said you're going to start talking about is what? The thing you're doing at Castos. Yeah,
so just really transparently to give folks a little bit of context, like we're 8 years in at Castos, and it's an amazing company, amazing, stable, profitable, growing a little bit business, but the podcasting space is challenging, I think competitive, like everyone's competitive, but I want my own airplane. I want my own jet. And that's kind of the yardstick for everything. It's like, is this going to get me my private jet? Castos as itself is not a $100 million company. And so I'm kind of sitting here saying like, ooh, AI is like a giant lever, right? Either using AI to do a thing or building in the AI space. Can that get me my private jet? Can it help me return a whole bunch of money to Tiny Seed and my other investors? And I think the answer at like a high strategic level is like Castos by itself as a podcast hosting platform can't. It's not a $20 million company, I don't think. But can I layer on a product or two to have a suite of things that are complementary, that we can cross-sell, because we have an email list of like almost 40,000 people and we have 4,000 customers. Like, what can we do to leverage the thing we already have to expand our base if we say that just making the current thing a lot better maybe isn't the answer, which, like, to be honest, I don't think that's the easiest way to grow the company. And so, yeah, I have 3 different things that I'm in kind of product validation on right now. And I'll talk about, it's funny, being 10 years into this, thinking through how to validate a new product is really different than the first time, which, like, I answered your survey the other day of like, how did you validate your first product? And I was like, I didn't. We just decided to do it because I wanted to. I think this will be helpful for folks. I had this conversation with Manus the other day because it was helping me think through some of this. I said, I want to create a product that is in this space, kind of like I can cross-sell to my existing customers, but I want it to have these few attributes. The first is it needs to be at least $50 a month. At least. Like, I want it. We're going to start at $100, I think, for all of these, because selling a $20 a month thing is super hard. So $100 a month, absolute entry point for anything that I do these days. And I think for most people, like, if you can't come up with an idea to sell a $100 a month thing, I would probably think harder. It needs to have expansion revenue built into the model. So an ESP or a CRM or a usage-based thing, like a lot of AI things are usage-based. So like the more you like it and you're successful, ARPU goes up through expansion revenue. And it needs to be aligned with our current customer base and audience at Castos. There's a lot of things I want to build that aren't, but that's like hard mode because I've already done the hard part of like creating a brand that we can just like expand on from there. So that brought you to then a list of 3 products that you're evaluating to build as a second product under the Castos umbrella? Yeah, and I can share that. It's just, oh man, I don't know if I'm ready to share. Yeah.
You don't have to share. You don't have to share the ideas if you don't want to. The thing I'm trying to get at is it's interesting to me there would even be 3 ideas. I would think, but is that the Manus speaking? Because I feel like I'd have a really tough time coming up with a list of viable ideas, and that one of them for me would just leap out and grab me, and I would just get the madness for it and be like, I want to build that right now, right? Versus having like 3 that I was actually validating.
Yeah, so that's a really good point. So like I think there are objectively several different good options. One of them talks to me personally more than the others, and I think that is pretty important because like one thing I've seen with Castos in my whole kind of cycle with it is like I got to be excited about showing up every day and doing this, especially starting from scratch. So I'll talk through the three ideas. One is I started on a channel. It's called Linkberry, linkberry.ai. It's an AI writing tool for LinkedIn. So the idea is a lot of people that I talk to at Castos are like, I know I need to be on LinkedIn because it's where all the thought leaders are, but it sucks and I hate it and I hate writing for it. And I just don't want to do thought leadership content. And so we're like, cool, how can we kind of go get the ilk of who you are from other content you have online and just create content for you? That's pretty compelling. So basically saying like, instead of you hiring a ghostwriting agency that's like $2,000 a month, you pay $100 for us and we create 20 days or 30 days of content for you at a time. That's pretty compelling, I think. The other is like a tool that we built internally, which is this like AI like content writing tool. It creates such amazing content, but it's in Claude Code. And I have to freaking open up Cursor and go into the terminal and do this stuff to have it right. Because it's just like that, like taking the rails off of AI that Claude Code allows for. So I'm like, cool, how can we kind of SaaSify that, give a ton of context to it and have it create really good content? So like an AI SEO tool. There's a lot of value in that. I think the market for that is much bigger. I think the challenge of that is it's probably harder for people to see the value of that.
There's just too many competitors. That's the way I see it. Too many is too strong, but there are 100 tools that are basically saying they can bring up blog content. And here's the thing, yours is really good and it's better than all of those. No one else will believe you when you say that. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's like that'll be the big challenge there is like, how do you prove to other folks that when they're evaluating, like, should I buy this one or this other one? But anyways, you're right. The market for that one is bigger.
Yeah. And the third one is kind of an offspin of that, which is like talking about agents. And you're like, I think I know what an agent is, but is we're creating, and we're using it in Castos, a few really specialized AI agents like, hey, go get me the SEO data from our website, like our Google Analytics data. Go get me Google Search Console information. Go write this article for me in Slack. And so commanding army of marketing agents from Slack. And so the writing agent that we have is kind of a part of that, but so are like, hey, go write me a LinkedIn article, go write me a LinkedIn post, go write me ad copy for Facebook ad. I think that's probably like, I'm just not there yet because that's the first one and the second one put together along with a Slack bot and a bunch of really complex stuff. So yeah, I might do that in the future, but it's probably like, I think we should go raise a bunch of money if we do that. It would be a really good business. But that's a different kind of train.
Yeah, that makes sense. It's a bigger, more ambitious, more competitive. There's more to build, right?
Yep.
Huh. Interesting. How are you feeling about building a second product? Because, I've talked about on this show with Ruben. I get this question every once in a while, right? Of like, should I build a second product? And it's like, by default, no. But the not build a second product thing is usually somebody who's got $20,000 a month in revenue. And it's like, that's not don't build a second product. This is not happening. You're obviously in a very different situation than that, being 8 years in. And as you said, you kind of hit the S curve a little bit. You've heard about the S curve, the Dharmesh, and it's before Dharmesh, but basically every product plateaus at a certain point, and sometimes that's 500,000 and sometimes that's 30 million, but it happens eventually. And then you look at HubSpot and Salesforce and all these big companies, they've had to layer on multiple products in order to keep growing because you just can't, the total reachable market for these things isn't that big. But beyond that, because it's not about, do you think you should be building this product? Because you think you should, right? You're like, no, this is the way to grow it. You've already talked about that. But there's as a founder, there's got to be some excitement in it, but is there a little bit of kind of dread or anxiety around it? You know, there's the pro and the con, the plus, the thing that makes you happy and the thing that makes you squirrely. What are those emotions?
Yeah, I think that you shouldn't do this. We have tried to grow organically, and I mean organically, like within the confines of what Castos is, like to achieve significant growth for a long time, and have brought in some extremely talented, smart people to help us. And it's not happened. And so the one thing I would say to everybody else is like, don't think go building another tool just because you've tried to grow for a month is like the answer. Like we've been trying for a year and a half and have brought in the most talented marketing people that I know and paid a lot of money. And it's just not happening. Like, I think we're at that natural point in our business. And yeah, I've talked to Ruben about this and he's like, hey man, it's just not going to happen. Like, and so we have a responsibility to ourselves and our investors to like make a ton of money. And so like, if that's not the way, then this is the way. I am very excited about building a new product. I think Linkberry is a really compelling value prop. Like when you say, we'll create a month of LinkedIn content for you so you don't have to, and it's $100, people are like, yeah, amazing. Like take my money. I think in the AI era, you kind of almost need to work backwards from like the aha moment to the product. And that's kind of it, is like, what's the problem we're solving? Which is like, people need to post on LinkedIn, but it kind of sucks and they don't want to. We'll just kind of do it for them. We'll just pull a bunch of information from them from the internet, aggregate it, and kind of spin it into content. And it does a really good job. So I'm excited about it from like a product perspective. I'm starting to bring the team into it a little bit, which like that's a whole dynamic. I'm nervous that we're starting from scratch. And it's been 8 years since we've had no customers. And I'm scared that like it's not gonna work. And I get this in talking to founders who have exited a lot. They're like, was it luck the first time? Can I do this again? And so I'm having that like from within the company still.
It's got to be exciting. I love the fact that because you and I've been, obviously we talk pretty frequently, and I have watched you try all the avenues to get Castos growing faster. And it's frustrating when none of those work. And I feel like, in a business that's not growing, for me, I'm going to speak for myself, like I've gotten bored, gotten demotivated. It's like, I'm not going to keep spending my time here doing this if it isn't working, right? And so it's like, what's the excitement? Like, what do founders actually get their juice from? I know that we talk about, well, it's to change your life. Money is a goal, I think, of almost all of us. And that's great. I have no problem with that. But also, it's the excitement, it's the learning, it's the seeing something go up and to the right, it's seeing more customers or more MRR. There's always got to be something, right? And that's, I think, the thing that maybe has been lacking for you for a bit of just to keep you motivation, right?
Yeah, I mean, motivation, a little bit of fear and excitement, I guess. Like, Castos is a stable business. I mean, it for better or worse, it's really stable. Yeah, like I need to sizzle it up a little.
Well, I'm excited for you, man. And folks who have known you for a long time as earning Castos, the podcast host, we all got to kind of expand our thinking. And
that's it.
Yeah, and I'm going to get excited to see as you launch this. If folks want to keep up with you on X, Twitter, you are the Craig Hewitt. And on YouTube, youtube.com/the Craig Hewitt. And if folks were interested in, they're like, I want to see what you build, like email newsletter. Like, do you have an email newsletter where you're going to be like, hey, this is what I've settled on? Yeah, where is that at craighewitt.com?
Yeah, craighewitt.com. There's a little button in the top right to join the newsletter. Yeah, I send a newsletter out as often as I can, which is about every other week. And then if folks want to check out Linkberry, linkberry.ai. We have a wait list there now of a few hundred folks, and we'll be opening doors for early access in a few weeks. So a week or two after this comes out.
Going to linkberry.ai right now to enter my email address. And it's been great having you on the show, man. Thanks for coming back.
Awesome. Thanks, Rob.
Thanks so much to Craig for coming back on the show. And make sure you follow him either on Twitter or YouTube, or sign up for his email list to see what he's up to, because he's putting out a lot of really interesting content. And I, for one, am looking forward to where he's headed as he starts building this second product. Thanks for listening this week and every week. This is Rob Walling signing off from episode 809.